Welcome to another video from the Tomb of Illumination. The illumination of our world and the illumination of man. The illumination of man brings all the hidden details of the creation story of our realm. This is what I do with my videos. I reveal all the secrets never been revealed before. I've made many discoveries never ever been mentioned before by man, the cycle of man. Okay? So check out my previous videos. This one's a bit of a wild one too. So just a couple of things to pick up on. If you haven't seen my videos before, go back and check them out. It's all about the central vortex of creation. Everything we see around us at night in the night sky comes from one motion. And that's the motion within the vortex, central vortex of creation. The central vortex being the female entity, and the Milky Way being the male entity going into the female. The vortex, the female entity, into the LOL. Milky Way spiral is the male aspect. Another fine example of the Milky Way being a separate entity from the background stars of the overall vortex. We do not live in the Milky Way. That's globe story bullshit. The Milky Way is like an umbilical cord attached to creation back here where we do not see. No one can actually comprehend it, but it's all metaphysical. Metaphysics comes over. Well, it comes out of the tropics over into the vortex. That's the vortex in there in the centre Arctic. The female entity, it's the magnetic field of Earth. It's created here, that's the choke point. Like the centre hole of a ring magnet. There's the magnetic field, the shell over our enclosed field, Earth. It's like a flux over the fixed inertial plane of the Earth itself. It's about water, hydrogen molecules rising up, which is the male entity, up to the tropics, as the magnetic field female come down. Female entity comes down through the ground and up through the vortex. The male goes the other way, up there, down through this way. The Milky Way represents all males on Earth, which is electrical or protons. The Iliads, they're called the males and the son-in-laws, stuff like that, which is the energized hydrogen molecule rising up through the tropics to be ripped to shreds as it comes through ionization, ripped to shreds, then passes through over into the centre Arctic. It's ripped to shreds, then enters the choke point of the Milky Way, which is rebirth, to become what science calls energized photons creating the auroras when it meets the rising magnetic field out of the Earth at the magnetic converging points called the poles. That's the vortex. There's the S. It's the first principle. Alpha, first letter of the Greek alphabet. There's the shape of it right there. Isn't it? There you go. Lowercase. First principle, the magnetic field vortex. You see the Milky Way, the male comes into it, enters the female. Well, the magnetic vortex represents all the females on Earth, maybe the electrons. This is the system, the magnetic field system. Who's seen this before? That's exactly what it is over our Earth, from the centre north out to the south. These are what they call the poles. The centralised place of convergence is the North Pole, but there's many south poles all the way around the Earth. That's one half of the cycle. Comes out, spirals and comes back in the other way, opposite. but there's many of those all the way around the earth. You've seen this in ancient cultures, haven't you? Maybe represented by the octopus. Check out my earlier videos regarding lily, the lilith, look, the lily plant. Now, it appears to be that I'm the first to ever explain this. The first man to explain kicked out of the garden. What is this? Kicked out of the garden means we've lost the geometry of creation. Check out my earlier video. Thanks to Frank Chester. Showing us the geometry that's now hidden. We do not see. Kicked out of the garden. The part we do not see, the metaphysical. So check out some of Frank Chester's work on the geometry of the heart. Why it's not a pump, it's a vortex just like this. Works the same way as creation. It's the centre of earth. Where's your heart? Pretty well centre of the body. That's all I had to put into this video actually. Realising it's the female, there's the male, they're a separate entity, we do not live in the Milky Way. All the background stars are the vortex, the Milky Way, we see the Milky Way at night. Milky Way at night, it's quite obvious. You see it with good astrophotography. The big bulge in the middle is Sagittarius A, which is actually the back of the sun. That's a no-brainer, if you've got a brain. So we have magnetic levitation, because we're going up and down in here as the night spirals on, or the 24-hour day spirals on. Everything in here is projected outward. Down inside the vortex, looking down on it. There's the shape. Side elevation, there's the shape, the S. All reflected out to the southern hemisphere. As this turns, we get this. Our star rotations, everybody has one of these on their southern horizon, north to south. Everybody will have one. This guy's looking this way, this guy's looking this way. This is over here. But as this turns, they're all drifting this way, drifting west, all the way around to create an overall cardioid shape over 24 hours. This is caught on time lapse. Drifting with a star tracker, but your star trail is fixed on your north to south meridian. But when you're filming the northern star trail, it's fixed. It does not wander. It will only wander within inside the vortex. It cannot wander out because it's locked in the centre here. There's centre north and here to the Tropic of Cancer here. It's locked. It just stays there. It just spirals. It appears to look like the same as the southern star trail because they're doing this cycle. They're drifting out from the centre, coming wider and wider, then going back in and down. But it doesn't drift off. It can only go so far. But these ones drift all the way around, so that's proof. If you can track these stars, anyone, I mean, if you lived on a ball, they can say the same thing because they're drifting across the end of the ball. But there's a difference. You'll find there's a difference here is up here. It does not go anywhere. It does not move east, west, east or west. These keep rolling around. So this is an experiment we need to get people to look at to see if we can prove it. I know it's proved, but we need to. I know how the system works, but we need to try and prove it. So we need to show the drifting of these stars. How far do they drift? Time-wise, over the night, or degrees, how far, compared to these ones down here. It's different. They wander all the way around the south. But in the north, they stick within inside the vortex. They don't drift. So there's one magnetic cycle, everybody. There's the south, that's the south, there's the north. It's tied to a smaller field. It's basically the sun's analemma, isn't it? Because it goes back the other way too, it goes back this way. It's the 3:2 ratio. What's that? That's phi. Phi. It's close enough to 1.618. 2:3 ratio of a magnetic field, a cycle, one cycle. First state, first entity, first principle of infinity, because it's just one cycle. There's millions of cycles around the earth, in and out, in and out, in and out. It's a continuous field, a magnetic field around the earth. Can't happen on a ball, can it? How can you get a 3:2 ratio on a spinning ball? The ball's equal. Just like you can't see Orion's belt for 9 months of the year and lose it for 3 if you lived on a spinning ball. Doesn't work, does it? No. There you go. Need some people to start backing this stuff up. Stop ignoring it. We show these flippin' morons. You think they live on a spinning ball. You know. It's like if it didn't turn out to be a spinning ball, they'd die. It's got the weird mentality. They have to save this ball at all costs. No, it's not a ball.